It's Hanger Time with Blender Boy and Badger. We're ready for another great show. I hope you guys are ready.
Hey Dwayne, you know what time it is?
It's Hanger Time.
It is Hanger Time. It's our 4th episode this week, and this week we've got me, Dwayne, and my good buddy Jim Arner from Salt Lake.
Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Good to be on.
Good to have you.
So, you're not going to believe this. I actually got some flying in yesterday.
The plank, I saw that.
I know it. Can you believe it? I actually even flew a plane. I got 4 packs through the Edge QQ yesterday. It was flying pretty good. It's a fun little plane. You'd like it. It's pretty fast and twitchy though, so I don't know.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's right. I got Expo. My orange has Expo.
Yes. You might need to add a lot of Expo into that thing because, like I said, it's really fast and really twitchy. I was doing some nice hovers and some nice knife edges with it though yesterday, and starting to get the hang of it.
Sweet.
It was flying pretty good.
Give us a couple more times, a few more times, and a few more months, and you'll be like a heli what, Blender what? I don't need those.
I don't know about that. Ooh, I don't think that'll ever happen. I did fly the helis yesterday too. Flew the little 130X with my new upgrades on it, and man, pennies worth, or that money was well worth putting into that thing. That thing
Was it?
Super smooth and handles really well now. I'm really happy with it.
Good. I'm glad somebody could fly a helicopter.
Yeah, instead of somebody just giving them away.
Well, as you know, I ordered my Axe 100 CP. I got it. I turned the controller on, and even with the Expo turned all the way up and the rates turned all the way down, I just thought to myself, it's going to sit here for at least a year before I'm even ready to think about touching it. So I went ahead and I traded it with one of our friends of the show, Paul Rebus. He had a Horizon Hobby Extra that he wanted to trade, so I went ahead and traded him my old transmitter and receivers and the helicopter for that plane. Mine still hasn't gotten here yet because my post office is just ridiculous. He actually got his in 2.5 days.
Nice.
We sent him out the same day. Actually, he sent out his 9 o'clock in the morning. I sent mine out at 3:30 in the afternoon. He got his Saturday. Mine's expected delivery is going to be Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
So, but no big deal. Like I said, fishing season started 2 days ago. The lake is finally, even with the cold weather, the lake is, the ice is breaking up a little bit, so I'll be doing fishing instead of flying the next month or so.
What?
Sorry. Hey, I can't eat a plank and I can't eat a blender, but I can eat trout.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. So you haven't done any flying this week, huh?
No, not this week. Just packing stuff up and sending stuff out. That's about it. I did order some stuff, like I said, but it got sent away. So as soon as I got it.
Yeah, that's really weird because I could have swore you'd been flying because the last couple of days I'll pull up to my garage and I'll push the opener to open my garage, and it only opens up like a foot and it stops. And then I have to close it again and push the button again to get it to open. And I was like, man, Dwayne's got to be out there flying.
Now I don't know how true your story is, but this is a true one on me. I bought a key fob for my Escape, and it seems like, and I don't know what it is, but it seems like every couple days, and maybe it is when I fly, I don't know, that I have to keep reprogramming it because it loses signal. And it won't unlock the doors or lock them. It'll work for 2 or 3 days, and then something will happen. It'll stop working. I don't know if it's me turning the transmitter on in the house or what it is. But something's going on with that, and I don't know what it is. So.
I'm pretty sure it has to do with that orange transmitter.
I'm starting to wonder. That's all. No evidence yet. No substantiated proof, but I'm starting to wonder.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, same here. It's pretty slow week this week. And It was nice weather yesterday and Friday for me, and then today I was like, yeah, I might get some more flights in this morning if this weather keeps up. Go outside, and it's foggy and it's trying to snow again.
Yeah, we got a little bit of snow last night, like I said, but it's mainly we've been having wind nonstop, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
not even going to attempt it. And like most of my models, are 30 inches or less, and I don't like flying in 10-mile-an-hour winds or more.
Yeah, and I'm the same way with airplanes. I really don't like flying the airplanes in the wind, but I'll take a heli up in the wind, 20, 30 mile an hour winds. They're
Oh wow! See, I would think that would be even harder.
No, it's actually easier because you don't, especially with the flybarless systems, they don't float as much, and the wind doesn't take off with them.
Oh wow! I was unaware of that.
So, should we get into our news?
Yes, I guess we should. Today's show is brought to you by Wings for Wishes out of Montana. You guys can look up Eric Kendall on Facebook, also on our Facebook page, RC Hangar Time. There'll be links to more information. It's a great cause. Please check it out. Thank you.
All right, this week I don't have much. I just wanted to note that today marks the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary that the very first SAB Goblin kit was shipped. So it's been 1 year since Saab Heli Division came out with their Goblin helicopters. And
Yay!
yeah, they've really taken over the market.
That's our sound effects for right now. Eventually, folks will have actual sound effects.
Yep.
So that's why Mike has me. Is that all you got?
That's about it.
Big thing I've been seeing a lot of guys on my own personal page and around. I guess Rise of the Drones has been on Nova on PBS this week or last week. Seems to be a really popular show. I watched it. It's a really good episode. It tells you the beginnings of the drones, where they've gone and where they're going. Pretty interesting. It's not true RC related, but there are a lot of RC factors that, or a lot of RC things that factor into drones. And there's this little part of the show, about 3 minutes, 4 minutes of it, where they show actual a parrot drone and some quadcopters and things like that. So Rise of the Drones, if you get a chance, it's online on some of the PBS things. You could watch it for free, and it's on, I guess it'll be on reruns too. Rise of the Drones, Nova.
What channel did you say it was on?
I believe it was Nova, and it was originally aired on PBS, but there's some places online you can watch it where they're just streaming it and stuff. So Rise of the Drones, Nova, Rise of the Drones.
Cool.
That's all I got. So are we ready to go to the group hot topic of the week?
Yeah. I don't know what the hot topic of the week is, but I'd like to point out a failed attempt at the 1,500 posts by Dwayne and Andrew. It only got up to 600 posts in like 24 hours, so...
It was 698, almost 700.
Yeah, it was about halfway there. Not even halfway to the record, so... Yeah, it was a good attempt, but it failed miserably.
I want to see your debit card account. I want to see how many transactions were done that day paying people not to post. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, well, like I said, too, once it got up to 1,000, I was going to delete all my posts. And I had probably 100 or so posts in there.
What I think is a hot topic. But yeah, thank you for pointing out my failure. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Ever consider a suicide counselor? I mean, that's probably a good job for you.
Yeah, I'd be really good at that.
Our RC group fly-in map that Hans Andreasen had set up for us. I want to thank him for that. Basically, if you guys are part of the group, or if you're if you are interested in our group, RC, what is it? RC Pilots Association. It's on Facebook, RCPA. You can search for us. It is a closed group, but if you ask me or Mike and you're interested and you're a stand-up type of guy or girl, we'll be more than welcome. You'll be more than welcome to join us. We'll put you in there and let you become a member. But we have Hans made a map that shows where all our members are located throughout the country, and it looks like Mike said we have more pilots out west, but I think that's not right. I think most of the pilots showing up are from the Midwest, right around Missouri and Illinois and all that. So we're talking about maybe doing a fly-in or maybe regional, but that's just what I thought was interesting, and I hope it takes off.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And
Yeah, it was a good idea. And what I meant by more pilots was that, more pilots in a consolidated area than any other place.
I think Missouri got that one, man. There's more right around me than anybody else.
Really, I haven't checked the map out lately, so I haven't seen all the updates and the new ads. So, but I know that there's about 7 of us here in Utah that are in the group that are within at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes of each other.
Well, it'd be cool if we could do like an East Coast, West Coast too. Have like how some of the bigger RC shows have East Coast, West
Yeah.
Coast. We'd have one like in Kansas, like you had said, which would be center, and then the guys out east could have one in Kentucky or Tennessee or
Yeah,
wherever
that
out
would be
there.
the only way to do it because everybody's so spread out. There's no way that, some people from California are going to fly all the way out to, Indianapolis to go to a RCPA fun fly.
Right, exactly.
It's just, especially for the first one, it's not that big yet, and, it wouldn't draw a huge crowd or huge, numbers like some of the bigger fun flies that you see around.
Exactly, and it'd be nice just to meet some of the guys and talk to them, and
Oh yeah, it'd be a blast.
yeah.
I'd
So
probably be the
that's
only heli guy out there though.
no, I think you've got a couple more guys out there. I know Paul, he flies helis, and Carl tries, and I have my little MD 530, which, like I said, I'm just waiting for the wind to stop. I'm gonna take it outside instead of trying to learn to fly it in the house, and
Yeah.
you won't be alone.
Nah.
And regardless, we still love you, whether you're a heli guy or not.
Yeah. Even though I give you plankers a hard time.
And that's about it for all our other fun stuff. We got our new guest today. Why on here? Why can't I find him on here? We got Jim Arner with us today. Jim, if you could just give us a little information about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, what some of your RC interests are, what got you into the hobby, and what are some of your favorite planes in your fleet?
Okay. So right now I live in Syracuse, Utah, which is about 30 minutes north of Salt Lake. I've been was 36 years old. What got me into this hobby was actually RC helicopters. So I'm right there with Blender Boy. CX2 was my first flying model. Back in high school, my dad actually gave me a trainer kit, a 40 size trainer kit that we just never got put together. And after we moved into our first house, my son was about 2 years old at the time. He found it in our basement and smashed it against the wall. So that became my first radio controlled airboat.
Nice.
After that. And then a couple years later, my wife was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting you one of these helicopters that we see on TV." And that was the Air Hogs at the time. And I was like, "Well, don't buy one of those yet. Let me do some research." And a couple days later, I came home with a CX2, which was, I don't know, probably 100 times more expensive than what she had planned.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of took off from there.
My son had a couple of those Air Hogs, and I tell you what, I think they're harder to fly than some of the more expensive, what you would consider an intermediate or a second helicopter. So I don't know if I think you made a good choice on that one, because my son's had a couple, and they're just, I don't know, they don't seem to fly very well for me or him or anybody I know that has them.
Yeah, no, they're pretty impossible to control. But yeah, it's been a fun hobby. I've met a lot of good people, and so right now I fly a Thunder Tiger Raptor 50. That's the only. Well, it's not the only helicopter that I have that's in flyable condition, but The other one's an MCPX, so I don't really count it, but I guess I should.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. A name like Thunder Tiger Raptor. I mean, I think if I was able to have another child, my wife and I decided we're not, and she's fixed. But I think if I had another kid, I want to name him Thunder Tiger Raptor. I just think Thunder Tiger Raptor Maximchak would be an amazing name. That's all I gotta say.
That would be.
That'd be
That would be
Thunder
quite the
Tiger.
name.
Did you give up on the gasser, Jim?
No, it's sitting in the basement. It's just trying to figure out where to get the funds to complete it.
Yeah,
I
'cause I know
have
that you
the
had talked about maybe selling it or whatever.
yeah. I'm not sure yet. I haven't committed to the sell. It's a T-Rex 700 Nitro with the is it Hobby World?
Yeah.
It's the guys who make Century basically. It's their conversion kit. So the frame is all done, and I have the motor, and that's as far as I've gotten with that one.
What size was the motor that you're putting in it?
It's their latest G29, so 29cc. Started out as a Zenoa G26, and then whatever they did to make it lighter and bore it out and all that other stuff to make it a 29cc.
Yeah, that'll be a powerhouse for sure. I think you should keep it and build it. I would really like to see that thing out at the field someday flying.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I'd really like to see it fly as well. I don't want to ship it off anywhere.
Yeah, and if you do get rid of it, I might have to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was
Before we
local.
we go any farther, I just want to file a complaint here with the plane manufacturers in general. Okay, I got a Pitts. I got an Extra. Okay, Pitts, Extra. I got my fanciest plane might be a Mustang. You guys got Thunder Tiger, Raptors, T-Rex, Goblin. I mean, why do you guys get all the cool names? That's just not fair.
Because helicopters rule.
I wouldn't go that far, but you got the best names. I got to give you that. I mean, come on now.
Because helicopters are cooler than airplanes. I mean, airplanes are just like edge plane.
I'm gonna fly my Beaver. Oh wow, that's
Beaver.
exciting.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna fly my SE5A. Ooh, that's exciting. No, I'm gonna go out and fly my Thunder Tiger Raptor with my T-Rex. Now, come on, that's not right. Horizon, Northrop, Boeing, Tower Hobbies. If you're listening, anybody out there, hacker, can you please start putting plane names and give them some fancy, cool names like these heli guys got? That's my rant. Okay.
There you go. Put out your grievances.
I can complain and yell in the house all day. It's not going to go anywhere. At least now I got a platform to get my grievances out there.
There you go. I have one slope plank that has a pretty cool name. It's the Weasel by Dream Models.
That's not a cool name. I think Weasel. I think it's something slinking around, getting in a chicken coop.
All right. I tried.
T-Rex and Goblin and Thunder Tiger Raptor. That's my favorite. They should put Velosa in there, and it'll be perfect. But I see in your profile pic here.
Outrage does have a velocity.
Oh, gee. See, that's not fair. But I see in your profile pic, Jim, you got a... Mike, you're breaking up a little bit, buddy. I'm sorry to talk over you.
Go ahead.
Okay, Jim, I see in your profile picture there you have a plank that doesn't have a motor on it. So I'm guessing you fly gliders?
Yes. Yeah, so that's a Discus launch glider, which is actually the main aspect of the hobby that I'm into right now. They have a 6-foot wingspan with a peg on one of the tips of the wings, and you spin around like a discus thrower, and you check your plane and then fly it around and try and catch thermals from there.
Really? So I mean, you don't need a launching system, a tow plane, or anything like that?
No, nothing for these. Just your arm.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. And now if you get a good thermal, now I see where you're in your profile pic, you're pretty flat. Can you still get thermals without having many hills around you, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, most of the places that we fly, you won't find a slope of any kind. Um, so the thermals are generated by temperature differential in the ground. So if you've got a black parking lot next to your soccer field or your sod farm or wherever you choose to fly from, um, it's that temperature difference, and that's what creates the rising pockets of air that we're looking for. However, the wind tends to shift those around and things like that. So you'll find them, and then you'll have to drift with them, and it's quite an art actually.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
very difficult.
See, I love gliders. They've always fascinated me, but I didn't know that you. Well, I didn't know this model existed. I always thought you had to have a launching system or things like that. This would be really awesome. I'd be really interested in trying something like that out because I like just relaxing, gliding, and I used to have an old little Aerobird Commander. I got the little two channel with the motor controlled the altitude, and you just had rudder and whatever. And I would just get up as high as I could, cut the motor, and just let it fly and drift and float and things like that.
Yeah.
I would love to get back something like this. Didn't have to have power. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and you want to talk about minimal support equipment that you go to the field with? Um, when I go to work, I throw a glider in, I throw my radio, and if I haven't charged in a couple of days, I'll throw my charger in as well. But that's all you need. There's no fuel, there's no battery packs, extra battery packs. You can fly for about an hour on the power systems that we're putting in here.
And
And then
what's
what
that,
do you
like a
put it?
350 milliamps?
Yeah, yeah. 340 to 360 milliamp 2S lipos are in my planes. I know some guys are flying on 1S. I don't know the size of those.
I think I was flying on a 3S. I think that might have been part of my problem. I was so heavy on mine.
Yeah,
And
that
Well,
could be.
imagine if you went with a 1S, like the biggest 1S you can get out there. Or I mean, you can probably if what is the biggest 1S out there? Do they make like a 500-600 milliamp or?
I don't know.
That'd be
I
awesome if
know.
you had like a 1,000 milliamp 1S. You could stay up there for a day.
Yeah, the other thing is that it has to fit within the pod, and the pods on these are pretty small. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with like a JRDS2 um, or sorry JS65 size
No, sure I'm not.
servo. It's the micro or
Oh,
mini
okay.
servo. Those barely fit in the pods. You throw a couple of those in there and you start quickly running out of room.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Now, um, I've been to a few of the contests, and that's the main focus for these DLGs here in Utah, at least, is contests and that kind of stuff. And you're talking about thermals, and I've been to these contests, and I've been to one contest last year, and these guys can just look up there and see where the thermal is. Do you have any insight on that, on how to find the thermals and what people are looking for and that kind of stuff in finding a thermal to get into and start circling around in?
Yeah. So that's the trick. And I've been flying these gliders for about a year, and I would say, well, I guess it's been over a year now, but for the first 9 months, that was the biggest mystery to me ever is how do you find a thermal? And a lot of guys, they look at, uh, especially in the summer, if there's any birds in the sky. Right now, you don't see birds thermaling um, if you go out to the field.
Mhm.
But you look for birds. You look for movement in the trees that's different than what you're feeling where you're at. We also hang Mylar tape off of long poles.
Mylar.
Dwayne's best friend.
See, everybody thinks they assume I wear an aluminum foil hat. I keep telling them it's a Mylar hat. It breaks the RF radiation up much better and more efficiently than aluminum foil. But I'm sorry.
I had no idea.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've got some 10-foot and 12-foot crappie poles, and so basically it's just a long carbon fiber rod with a single eyelet at the end that I tie the Mylar to, and we stick those up in the air, and you watch the wind movement on that Mylar, and you can kind of get a feel for the direction that the wind is shifting, or so it takes some time to get used to what the normal direction of wind should be on the field. And then if you feel a shift in that or a warmth pass by, it's usually a thermal pulling the air into it. And then you have to be, just conscious of those different shifts in the wind. And we don't fly these in winds over 20 miles an hour for a contest.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's no
but
way.
anything up to that, the contest will still go on.
Now back to the poles with the streamers on them.
Mylar.
Yeah, the Mylar streamers. When I was at the contest, they didn't have them up, but I was told that you separate them about 10, 15 feet or whatever, and when the streamers are pointing at or touching each other and coming into like a V shaped, that's pointing towards the thermal, right?
Correct.
And that'll tell you which
they're
direction.
like dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. Because the thermal is sucking the cold air that's around it up into the funnel. You can kind of picture it as maybe a mushroom cloud or maybe even a twister. But they suck it up from the bottom, and then it rises until it cools off, and then it comes out the sides and back down as cool air. So once you get yourself into a thermal, your job is to circle as best you can around the core of that thermal. If you get outside of the thermal, you'll be in the sink, and sometimes just as fast as you go up, you'll come down just as fast when you get to the outside of it. It's almost like there's a force pushing your plane down. So the air is quite dynamic around these thermals.
Yeah. So basically, to fly DLG, you probably got to be a meteorologist.
It helps. It helps.
I was just gonna say that. He said, my the equipment I bring is a radio in my plane and maybe a charger. No, you need like a whole weather station and satellite.
Yeah, you need a weather vane. You need
thermal imaging. He forgot to
Yeah.
mention the weather station he carries in the trailer in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
Now,
that's the Android phone.
yeah, I've heard of also people wearing these amber shaded sunglasses that will help them actually see the thermals. I don't know if it's a wives' tale or what. Have you heard of these, Jim?
I haven't heard a lot about the thermal vision type glasses.
Mhm.
I'd be interested to see them though.
Yeah, I think Jim Young at our field was telling me about it that he has a pair or something.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to do a little more research into that.
Yeah, I think I see them on infomercials late night.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, this works great. You put on these glasses and you can see the thermal.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Those safety glasses you always see on the infomercials. I don't know if I'd go with those.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, good eyesight goes a long way. I was flying with two young guys out of New Mexico, um, down at their home field, and they could see tree movement and grass movement. And let me tell you, there was only one tree on this field, and it was a quarter mile away.
Wow.
So they could see the movement, I couldn't. Um, but it's all about learning your environment and reading it.
Yeah.
So it's a very pure form. There's no motor assist, and the really good launchers can launch a plane uh, around 220 feet. I'm lucky if I get 160, 180.
Yeah, that's still up there though. I mean, I was lucky to be up in the hundreds when I was launching my plane, but my plane's also a home built plane and doesn't compare to those really light, you know, Stobles and uh, Concepts, Polarises, and all that.
Yeah,
I
the
think I may just stick with the motor assist things. This is sounding way too complicated for me at this point.
Yeah, it is. When I first got mine, I was like, I was out of the flying field at our club meeting one night, and Jim and Mike show up at the field. Mike is another guy that helps run the contests here in Utah, and I saw them, flying these sailplanes around, and they're like, I was like, when they first pull them out, they're always talking about them, like, yeah, this is $1,000 plane and $1,000 ship, and I'm like, yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm just gonna stick to my helis, I'd rather put $1,000 into a helicopter. And then they started throwing them. I just thought they were regular gliders. And then they started throwing them, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. So Mike was nice enough to let me, throw his around a couple times, and I was hooked right after that. So I got on the forum, our local forum, and one of the kids that are in the group, he's a engineer student up at the University of Utah, and he's been building planes and gliders and stuff. So he built one, and I bought it from him and started flying it around. And when I first started flying it, I was lucky to launch it, 40, 50 feet and keep it up for 45 seconds. For my first 20, 30 launches, I was only able to keep it in the air for 45 seconds. And I think my longest on my own ever was like a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But then I went to my first contest, and these guys are saying, "Oh, look, there's a thermal there. Push out this way. Do this, do that." And then I was able to start doing, 2, 3, 4, 5 minute flights, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy." And then it's it was definitely eye opening to go to my first contest and see how these guys do it compared to trying to do it by myself, because it was kind of getting boring by myself because I'm only staying up for 45 seconds and these guys are staying up for like 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah, by far you learn more about these gliders and reading the air and overall any aspect of DLG by going to a contest. That's really what hooked me as well. That plane that you see in my profile picture is a Light Hawk, made by a guy in New Mexico, but I bought it in Colorado. I'm one of the lucky few, the minority that's left-handed,
Yeah.
and so I had to go pretty far to find somebody who had a used left-handed DLG that was pretty much ready to fly. And good guy by the name of John Lovins out in Colorado, he invited me out. He's like, "Look, even if you don't buy a plane from me, come on out, see what it's all about. We're having a contest in 2 weeks. See if you can get out here." And I went out the day early and flew a couple of his gliders, picked one that I wanted, bought it. We set it up that night in his basement, and the next day I was out there flying a contest with him.
Now, what are those gliders made out of, and roughly what do they run for? Just like for a beginner, if you could give me an idea, like what a beginner glider would cost, up to say an expert glider, and what are they made out of too?
Okay. For competition, um, they're all made out of some kind of composite material, either fiberglass and Kevlar and carbon fiber.
Oh wow!
All those materials go into the making of these gliders.
And there's no covering on the wing. It's a composite covering too on the wing and control surfaces.
Yeah, so it's
Wow.
most of the time you have a foam core, and then they either bag or mold the wing shape, the airfoil. And then you have your tail surfaces, which are either a foam or a balsa or whatever, and then again they're covered in glass or carbon fiber, or, Kevlar type material. The lower end models that are still used in competitions are like the Top Sky version 1. I think Hobby King actually sells one. I can't remember the name of it at the moment.
Hobby King actually has a DLG?
They do, and it's basically the Top Sky version 1, but they call it something else. But that's probably the lowest price.
Versus composite?
Yes, that one. Versus.
The Superb Versus.
That's the Hobby King one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, me too. $182. Is that one, or if that's ready? Oh, nope, it's not ready to fly.
Now, is that the least
Yeah.
expensive? Is that like the least expensive model, or is there stuff for guys who just want to go out there and can I buy like a foam one at Walmart for $4 or the dollar store and put a grip? I can't do that.
I think the HK one is going to be your best bet.
Yeah, so there's that one. There's also, so you also have to keep in mind that the Discus launch gliders are handmade one at a time. There's no assembly line processes that's going to make one of these. So your other options that are not really competition worthy, but will get you a feel for Discus launch
or
is
crashing.
or crashing,
which would be for me.
And they're not ready to fly. They're going to take some work to get them going, but Mountain Models makes a DL50 or a QF2 DLG, and those are balsa, rib structures, and balsa tails, probably a fiberglass pod, and a carbon fiber boom.
But you don't think those are contest worthy?
Not in today's environment.
Yeah.
Because everybody who is really competitive and looking for that, next step up, they're all flying composite ships.
Yeah.
These will thermal. You will be able to get a thermal flight on them. They're fun. They're inexpensive. They're gonna run you probably 150 by the time you put radio and servos and all that gear in them. And then you have your mini composites.
Now we're talking.
So they're like the Elf DLG I think it's made by Kennedy Composites, and a couple other ones. And in fact, JR just announced one at the Nuremberg Toy Fair.
Now, I saw Carlos playing around with a mini DLG out at the field one day, and it looked like it was a lot harder to launch than, say a bigger one.
Really? I've never launched one, so I don't know.
Yeah, your wind-up is a lot smaller and shorter, so it just looked, I don't know if it was just the way Carlos was doing it, but it just looked a lot harder than, say a bigger ship.
Yeah. No, the micros, roughly how big do they run?
So micros are a 1 meter.
Okay, so 3 foot, 39 inches.
Yeah, roughly.
but while we're on that real quick, okay, you said that one of the smaller ones is an Elf?
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking here online. There's these are dinosaurs that lived. There was the Microraptor, the Raptor Rex, the Microceratops. Okay, now just those three names alone. Why couldn't they pick one of those names for this plane instead of the Elf?
I know.
I mean,
Well,
come on, you
because
got a Microraptor, Raptor Rex,
an elf is
uh,
small, and it's a
Yeah.
micro
Microceratops.
DLG.
Well,
But come on.
but these are gliders. We're going back to that whole Planck versus Heli naming convention.
But that's what I'm getting at. Why couldn't this plane manufacturer come out with the Microceratops? I mean, that's just Ceratops. You think of tops, clouds, and
Ceratops is huge. I mean,
this
an
is a
elf is
micro.
small.
This is a Microceratops. The smallest of the ceratopsian horn-faced dinosaurs was about 1.5 feet high and weighed 4 to 5 pounds. That sounds like this micro DLG glider to me. Conspiracy.
It is.
Oh,
Definitely.
here. We'll get the Minmi, which is the smallest ankylosaur. It's a Minmi. There's the name we'll get. Next
There you
plane will
go.
be a Minmi.
That'll work. That'll work.
You're just gonna have to start either flying helicopters if you want cool names, or else start designing your own airplanes and start naming them yourselves.
Well, I got three names right here: Microraptor, Raptor Rex, and Microceratops. Right there, buddy.
Those first two have already been taken by helicopters. You can't
Have
use
they
them.
really?
Well, the T-Rex,
This
and
is Raptor Rex. It's not Raptor Rex.
kind of like a Velociraptor, Saurus Rex.
Yeah, this is a Raptor Rex. I don't know how big it was. Tyrannosaurus doesn't give it. Darn it.
No, you're gonna have to put it in the show notes.
Nanotyrannus. There we go. Nanotyrannus. There. I am okay. Anybody listening out there, I am copywriting the name for my next airplane design. Nanotyrannus. Tiny Tyrant was the smallest tyrannosaur, but the weight of the current opinion is controversial. There, Nanotyrannus.
Okay.
Only weighed 1/2 ton compared to the Tyrannosaurus, which weighed 7-8 tons.
It sounds too heavy to thermal.
Yeah, I don't think they'll fly very good.
Even pigs fly if you get a tall enough building and throw them far enough.
Yeah, or put enough power to it.
Mm-hmm. Look at the F4 Phantom. It flew.
True. Very
So let's talk a little bit about an actual contest. You know, what's involved in that, and you know what kind of stuff is going on and that you're going to be doing at an actual contest.
Okay. Before I go into that, let me just make a correction. The Elf was made by Hyperflight Vladimir Models.
Oh,
And-
the Vladimir.
Yeah,
Now, don't they
Vladimir.
make a?
Jim, before you go, if you can give me all that information too, so I can put it in the show links,
Sure.
so I could get it all correct.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
doesn't
Kennedy-
Vladimir make a full size one as well? That's supposed to be really nice.
They do? Yeah. And they're all distributed here in the U.S. by Kennedy Composites. That's where my mistake came in. But
Yeah. And before we get into the contest, let's finish up with some of the bigger named aircrafts too. I guess I was jumping the gun a little bit. I forgot that we weren't finished talking about some of the bigger ones. I know that your mid-grade ones are going to be like your Blaster and that kind of stuff.
yeah, so Vladimir makes the Blaster and Blaster 2, Blaster 3.
Oh, so Vladimir does make the Blasters, because that's the one I'm looking at getting here in the next few months is the Blaster 3, just because it's neon green.
Yeah. They've always had
Green.
great color schemes.
Yeah. Yeah, that bright neon green is an awesome looking.
And Dwayne, they even make a bright orange one.
There we go. Orange for the win, baby.
Oh, you got your orange, I got my green. We're happy.
Yeah, so most of the
Remind us
colorful...
never to go out together. I'll be all in fluorescent orange, Dayglow orange. You'll be in Dayglow green. We'll look like a bad 80s nightmare.
We can relive Night at the Roxbury.
There you go.
Oh, I love that movie. Sorry to cut you off, Jim.
That's all right. Yeah, so the Blaster 3 is the current offering. So other high-end models, or let's finish up the lower end models. So keeping in mind that these are hand built cottage industry type planes, a lot of people who are designing planes and building them put up threads in the sailplanes hand launch forum on RC groups. Right now, you've got a couple of really good offerings. I don't know exactly where they're being made out of, but you've got a is it Black Magic?
Well, that's not a bad name.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
sorry, I had these,
Oh, that's fine. Just take your time.
but they're all going to be made and then shipped once they've been made. So it takes a while to get one. I guess is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Now, the Kennedy composites, I noticed that, they're available and ready to order now. Is that true? Because I was looking at the Blaster 3 the other day, and it says, you can check for availability on the website when you finish up your order, and it says it's ready, available to ship. So are they just pre-making them and just, anticipating orders on them, or do I have to wait
Yes.
for them to build it?
Yeah. So some of the higher end models, like the Blaster and the Stovall and Polaris, things like that, they are constantly being made. So if you have a special order, you would have to put that in and wait for it to be made. But the other ones, they're constantly being made because there's a high demand for them. They can't ever fully catch up to the demand right now. But
Mhm.
the Blaster seems to be in stock a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
it's pretty much ready to ship.
gotcha.
Sorry, the other two that I was referring to are the Blackjack and the Charisma. So those are another entry level, you know, lower cost of entry into the competition type model. I think they're under 400.
I'm looking at their website now. I see what you mean about the pods being so tiny for electronics and components. Oh wow.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's the typical all-up weight on one of these, just to give Dwayne a reference how light they are?
I'm looking at 11 ounces for a 59-inch wingspan. That's amazing.
That's actually pretty heavy, uh,
Really?
comparatively. Um, the the wingspan is fixed by the rules, so 1.5 meters is as wide as it can be. Um, the the weights on them are anywhere from just under 9 ounces all the way up to 13 or 14. But obviously, the higher the weights, you know, the harder it is to thermal. But the better they move around in windy conditions. So you have models that are geared towards different flight conditions, um, and you can ballast up. You can add more weight, but typically 14 ounces is probably the highest that you'll see or want to fly. It,
Well, no, no, I'm looking at these big guys here, the open class, the Maxes and stuff.
hmm
Now they're showing like a 138-inch wingspan with a 62-ounce flying weight. Now those aren't for competition. Those are just for.
Those are not DLG. Those
Oh,
are
they're
not.
not.
No,
Okay.
those aren't hand launched.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
the
I didn't realize there was so many difference in gliders. I thought they were just powered and unpowered, and that was it. I didn't realize there was all these different facets of gliders.
yeah, no, there's a huge facet, a lot of differences in the different competitions. And if if you want to, get real technical, there's the FAI rule set that determines, different classes of gliders and the rules for the competitions. And the one that we're talking about right now is called F3K. And then you have F3J, F3B, you got all kinds of different gliders and rule sets and
Okay, see,
sizes, weights, things like
open
that.
class, res class, 2 meter models, hand launch models, slope models, ALES or F5J.
Mhm.
Those are all different classes. Those are like different competition classes. Is what
Yes,
that's, I mean. Okay, that's very wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we use
So that's like
F3K, right?
correct.
so that's like pattern flying, 3D flying, scale. How we refer to different types of classes. That's what these are all the different classes.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a good approximation.
Wow, who would have knew? Who would have thunk? I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and they all have different, different rules as far as what they're graded on. You know, uh, some of it's duration, some of it's landing, things like that. In hand launch, we don't really care about the landing. It's all more about the duration of the flight. Which I guess if we're ready, we can. Unless you
Oh
want to talk more about high-end models, we could talk about contests.
yeah.
Yeah, just name a few high-end models, like the number one and the number two ship to go with, in case somebody has a bunch of money they want to dump into this.
Sure. There's several great models right now, and all of them are competition worthy. Um, we'll, and these are in no particular order, just to throw that out there. But you have the Polaris that's really hot right now. Um, the Concept um, Extreme 2, I believe, and the Stobel version 2 and 3, and the Helios is another good one.
Yeah, those are nice.
And out of the U.S., you even have the Freak model. That's a good one.
Sounds
So,
perfect for Dwayne.
Thank you.
so yeah, all those models uh, fly with different characteristics, but they suit different pilots. So, but all of them are right up there.
Yeah.
There's you have to keep in mind that very little separates the top models as far as that performance edge
hmm
goes.
Now, what does a Polaris cost?
You're looking around 1200
Yep.
for by the time you get it flying, all of these models are going to be somewhere around 1200.
Yeah. All the
Wow.
top models, the Polaris, the Stobel, the Concept, even the Helios. The Helios is, right
Actually, the
around
Helios is a little
700.
bit less.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
right around 700. But the other thing is, it's coming out of what, Germany or the UK somewhere. So your wait is, and he's pretty backed up too. So your wait is like 6 months.
Now, how durable are these? I mean, if I'm spending $700, it better be able to take a nosedive at full gust or downdraft or whatever you want to call it, and be able to fly again. Because $700, you would literally see me laying on my back, curled up in a ball, crying my eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah, you do see some of that occasionally.
Yeah.
Um, I will tell you this, for the amount of forces and strains that we put on these planes as we launch them and fly them around, they are very durable. However, the ground tends to tear them up a bit.
Yeah.
Really?
I learned that on one of my first ones because I launched it, brought it in for a landing, and I grabbed it by the nose when I brought it into me, and I didn't fully grab it right, and the tail just dropped right down to the ground, and I snapped the boom right in half.
Yeah.
And
And
you can't repair them like you
oh,
can
Oh, you
other
can.
planes, can you?
yes, you can.
Absolutely. I've never seen a DLG destroyed so badly that it can't be repaired.
So hot glue and reinforced packing tape is all I need.
No, duct tape and
Uh,
baling wire.
yeah, yeah. That's it. Go ahead and throw some lead fishing weights in there too.
Yeah.
Well, how do you repair them? I mean,
So
how,
you would use the same materials that they're made out of, basically, to repair them, which is you've got your two-part epoxies. Most of the time we use laminating resin because it's it's thin, and it helps adhere the skin material, which is Kevlar or carbon fiber or fiberglass, back to the foam. And this is talking about a foam core wing. There's different techniques to repair a hollow molded versus a solid core.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the boom was different too, because I know that.
The boom's made out of carbon fiber.
Yeah, so Brandon and I repaired my boom after I snapped it in half, and it didn't take long. The longest part was, letting it cure for, 30, 40 hours or whatever. But it went back together fine and was pretty
So not only do you have to be a meteorologist, you have to be an aerospace engineer also.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what Brandon is too.
Okay, well, see, there you go. See, I worked on F-16s. It was just rivets and pieces of aluminum, and that was it. We didn't have the composite stuff when I was working in the Air Force.
Yeah, I recall very distinctly my first crash and repair, and I've had many since. But they go back together with minor weight penalties as long as you're careful with, your materials.
Yeah, as long as you're not oozing it on there and just packing it on.
Definitely no hot glue. We do use some
duct tape.
Some packing tape. That light, clear packing tape.
Mm-hmm.
We use some of that.
Now we're talking. That's my repair. That's my repair field right there.
Those are field repairs. So like if you damage a solid core wing, in a competition, and you're halfway through the round, you can slap on a piece of that and just to cover up the gouge.
Yeah. Now, Dwayne, what will really freak you out too is when you go to some of these competitions, some of these guys will have 3 or 4 of these, Concepts or Polarises. So they'll have like $5,000 worth in planes out there just as backups. So they'll have their main one, but just in case anything happens to it in a contest, they've got 3 others to back it up.
See, I appreciate those things. I just cannot fathom me having one, just because I know that I'm only one thumb twitch away at any time I fly from hitting the ground. Even if I smacked a $250 or $300 plane and it wasn't repairable, I mean, I would feel so guilty for years because I had just wasted $250. I'd be terrified to fly one of them.
Yeah, and these things you would be surprised how fast these things go. I mean, you can really get these things screaming coming along when you're nose diving in and, bring it in for a landing in a hurry. Yeah. And the sound of the air passing from them, it makes a very distinct whistle. It's very cool to actually, even just to watch. They're really cool.
I would love to, but I live in central Missouri, northern central Missouri, and there's really not a lot of shows around us. There's one in St. Louis I would like to go to this year if they're going to have it again, but I've never been really to an RC show, and I want to go to one so bad, and I'd love to see some of these guys fly. This just sounds amazing.
Yeah, you'll have to come out to Utah and come fly with us.
There's actually quite a few discus launch glider competitions around. I don't know about Missouri. But you won't find these at your typical
most people show. Don't know about Missouri.
It's one of those forgotten states.
Yeah, we're just hidden right in the middle. I mean, we're kind of like, was it the Swiss? We're neutral on everything. We're libertarian. We go right down the middle. So we really don't make much news with our far right or far left extremism. So nobody really thinks about us.
Yeah,
we don't count.
I guess that's not a bad thing.
No, it's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to hide from the black helicopters.
Exactly. But speaking of helicopters, and I got another trademark copyright name on this, the Nemacolopterus. That is an awesome name. It's the smallest pterosaur. The pterosaurs, y'all know, are the flying reptiles, which had a wingspan of only 10 inches, sounds like an ultra micro to me, weighed a few ounces. This pigeon-sized reptile may have occupied the same branch of pterosaur evolution that gave rise to the enormous Quadriceps 50 million years ago. So it has a heritage and lineage that goes from tiny to huge, and that is my trademark name for my next plane that I ever design.
Yeah, and if I design a quadcopter, what was that last name? The Quadriceps?
No, the Quetzalcoatl. What's a quadless?
Sounds like a good name for a quadcopter.
That sounds like Omar's whatever. I can't think of the name of that thing he names it. I still can't think of it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But so, just so you guys know, the Nemacolopterus shall be coming 2013.
All right. Looking forward to that one. I am very interested to see what kind of design goes along with a name like that.
And it comes with a roll of clear duct tape for repairs.
Nice.
All right.
Now because of that challenge, I'm gonna have to try to design an ultra micro plane because I have a couple receivers and packs from a few ultra micros that I just flew the motors off of them. So now I'm gonna have to come up and try to think of something now. Darn it. Who knows? Maybe Tower or Horizon will buy the rights from me. I like it so much. This is pretty interesting, though. I mean, I learned a lot today. I mean, this is just amazing what's out there.
Yeah, and let's talk about the contest stuff. You'll be amazed of what kind of tasks that you actually have to do in a contest, and it's the first couple of times, it's really overwhelming, and you're like, huh? I got to do what?
Yeah, it's very. It takes a bit to figure out what it is you're actually trying to accomplish. But I'm just trying to pull up the task list here.
Sounds like marriage.
Yeah.
I got to do what? Huh? Task list? Huh?
All right. So we have 12 different tasks that we fly.
Take out the garbage, do the dishes. Oh.
Not your task list.
And then you have to have quick turnarounds in there too. So there's no resting in between taking out the garbage and and stuff like that. But
exactly.
So in a contest situation, you have between 8 to 10. That's probably your maximum number of people out on the field at the time with a plane. Okay. And then you have your timer out there with you as well. So you have a potential of like 20 people out on the field with you. And you're all trying to perform a certain task with your plane. Now it can be your last flight with a 5-minute maximum in a 7-minute window. So you have 2 minutes of extra time to get a feel for the air. Or it can be something like 5 2-minute flights, where you have 2 minutes as your maximum airtime on any one flight, and you have 5 of these flights that you're trying to get, and 10-minute window, so that doesn't leave any extra time.
Yeah, and some of these guys will bring it in and not even let the plane stop before they're spinning it around and launching it again. And some of the quick turnarounds that these guys can pull off is crazy. I actually bring it in, land it, pick it up, throw it, and I lose a lot of time that way because I just can't. I mean, it's so hard to grab that thing out of the air and just chuck it again. I mean, you got to really practice that move without breaking something.
Yeah, it's basically coming in and grabbing that wing peg with your fingers all in one smooth motion and just turning around again. The plane never stops, you never stop. It's just, and they can be 1 to 2 seconds in turnaround time.
Yeah, versus landing and then picking it up, which is probably an extra 25 seconds that I lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's several other tasks. Ladder task, which is your time increases by 15 seconds for each flight, but you have to make the time before you move on to the next one.
Yeah. So basically, if you have 1 minute, you have to come in, land, and then throw again, and then fly for 2 minutes, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, it starts at 30 seconds, so you have 30, 45, 1 minute.
And you can't go over that time, right?
Well, you actually do overfly just a little bit on this one,
Mm-hmm.
and they build in some extra time in the window, in your working window, because you have to make the time. You
Yeah.
can't land a second short, or you have to refly.
Now, while we're on this, real quick, is there a organization like how that runs these things? Is there like a certain centralized organization that runs this? Like, is there DLG.org or something like that? Or
There's a lot of different websites out there, but there's no one organization that runs all of the contests.
okay, that's what I just want
We
to make sure.
Who runs the big, huge national event that was like in Switzerland or whatever last year?
um
Like
I
that, the world's, you know what I
Right, the
mean? Where,
world's, yeah, there's a committee that runs that, but I don't know the name. I
oh,
don't
okay.
know if it falls under the FAI. Um, that and FAI, they control the rule sets and everything for any kind of aero event. That doesn't just include RC. That's full scale,
Oh, so,
hang gliding, all that stuff falls under FAI rules.
huh.
Because I was wondering if somebody wanted more information on this, if there was like a centralized website or a centralized organization here in the
No, no.
U.S.
Your
that
best
they
group,
can just
or your
go to.
best bet is going to RC groups.
RC groups, sailplanes, hand launch forum, you'll be flooded with information and ask a question and you'll get tons of answers.
Yeah.
There's a very active group.
You'll be Neo in the Matrix the first time in the Matrix. You're just gonna pop
Yep.
with information.
Well, I don't mean to cut this short, but I know that Jim has to get going.
Yeah, I've got a little bit more time.
Okay, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I'm not trying. I don't want to get rid of you. I don't want you to think that. I just want to make
Sure.
sure that we still have time once we're off air to get those links and everything. That's all I want to make
Okay.
sure. I got my bright orange tiger stripe pen ready to take the show notes.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I really do. I Missouri State Tigers, so it's bright orange and tiger striped.
So now back to the contest.
Sure.
Now, what happens if I know that I know I'm familiar with the rules as well. What happens if you hit somebody with your plane?
If you hit somebody with your plane on launch, that's a very bad situation because these planes are going 70 to 80 miles an hour at the time of launch. So that's going to really hurt. You get a 0 for that round.
Yeah.
Okay, you're basically taken out, and as it should be. You need time to get yourself sorted out, basically, because if you hit somebody on launch, something went terribly wrong.
Yeah, because
And
these things should go straight up when you
they,
release it.
yeah, they really should. If you hit somebody coming in, you get a 100-point penalty. If you hit another plane while you're in the air, that's not a penalty situation. It happens.
Yeah, and I
You
did see a
try.
little bit of bumping at my first contest when everybody was fighting over the same thermal because there wasn't
Right.
many thermals out that day, and everybody's kind of following everybody to find the first thermal, and it looked
Yeah.
like, and it's kind of like a NASCAR race, once you get into that thermal.
It is. You're all trying to turn the same direction, and we all try and keep what we call blue sky rule in
Mhm.
mind, which is you try and uh, be able to see sky in between your planes. You never want to try and cross paths.
Yeah, and then same with when you're in a thermal. I noticed that everybody's turning the same way. So if
Hmm.
one guy gets into a thermal and he starts doing his circles in a thermal and he's going left, and somebody else says, "Oh, he's circling," so they all follow that guy. They all go left as well. You won't see one guy come in and start going right. You
You
know.
haven't seen me in a competition.
Yeah,
Except
yeah.
Dwayne.
You shouldn't see that happen, but it does happen. But usually the person highest in the thermal or the one who got there first
Yep.
sets the direction of turn.
Yeah.
That
Um,
sounds boring. Come on now. I want left, right, up. Come on.
Like I said, it's a NASCAR race once you get in that thermal.
well, you don't want to be the cause of all the crying and things when planes go down.
Yeah.
So
You
that's
That would
don't
be a
you don't
very
know me
bad
you
day.
don't know me very well.
That would be a very bad day unless your wallet is pretty deep.
yeah. But part of that 100-point penalty that really hurts is that that 100 points stays with you the whole time. It doesn't get normalized. It doesn't get, you know, it's taken off the top. So it can really hurt your score if you have one of those or multiples of them.
Especially when you're lucky to get up into the 500 or 600 point range for an entire contest.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't want to hit anybody or anything that's considered in a no-fly zone.
Hmm.
A lot of times the vehicles and canopies and tents, things like that, will be considered a no-fly zone. If you hit anything inside that area, it's a 100-point penalty.
Yeah. And then let's talk about the bounding box around the flight line, and landing and staying within that box, or launching inside
Mhm.
that box.
Yeah, so we set up our fields with a boundary, and there's a guideline as how big that should be for a certain number of pilots, but you should have plenty of space out there for you and your timer and everybody in your flight group. Um, so you have to launch and land while standing inside that box in order for the flight to count uh, towards getting you points on the board. If your plane lands outside of the box, you don't get any points. If your plane lands inside the box and you're standing outside the box, you don't get any points. You have to bring the plane back into the box in order to launch again, for your next flight to count.
Yeah, and that was pretty hard to get used to for me, because everybody was staying around the middle of the box, and I didn't want to be around everybody because it was my first contest. I kind of wanted to be off in the corner by myself. I didn't want to get in anybody's way, and I was standing on the corner of the box, and
Yeah.
landing and coming in. It was just it made it harder, because I'd launch it and push out, and then I didn't have enough air to bring it back, and I was landing outside the box constantly.
Yeah. 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 It's something that you have to get used to, these field lines. Um, and just keep them in mind. One cool thing though is that with with hand launch in particular, your flight doesn't end until the plane comes to rest or it touches you or another stationary object. So your flight doesn't end if it just touches the ground outside the box and then continues to skid and one piece of your plane crosses over the line.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a valid flight.
Sounds like shuffleboard. I can do
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you can actually reach over if you think you're gonna land short. You can reach over and catch your model as long as you're standing inside the flight box. Reach over, catch your model. It's a valid flight.
Yeah. Um, Back to the task list. My favorite one that we did, and I just wanted to bring it up and have you talk about it, because it was pretty interesting
Hmm.
how that one worked. It was the one where you called out your time, and you
Okay.
said, "Oh, I'm going to do this amount of time."
Poker.
Poker run. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's least favorite task
I
is
actually
poker.
liked it. I think that was probably my best one I did all day. I think that was one of the only tasks I completed, but I think I went more conservative than some.
Well, it's because you called 10
Exactly.
seconds and that was it.
So with poker, you get to nominate 5 flight times or up to 5 flight times. And you have to make that time in order to call a new time. So a lot of people will call conservative on their first one, get up there, get a feel for the air, and if they find something, then they'll call, something more. If they didn't, then they may call the same time again. Some guys, they get a good read before they even launch and they'll go all in, 958. because it's a 10-minute window, takes about 2 seconds to launch. You know, you got to give yourself a little bit of leeway there, and they'll fly out the whole window, just like
And
that.
Now, the longer the time you call, I'm guessing you get more points. If somebody calls like 30 seconds, they don't get as many points as a guy who calls 9 minute 58.
Yeah, well, it's all about time in the air. So for all of these tasks, whoever is going to win had the most time in the air for that
Okay, so yeah,
particular
so a 30
task.
second guy isn't going to get nothing.
Right, but if the guy who calls 9:58, he flies 7 minutes and 32 seconds, he gets a 0.
mhm.
Oh, okay.
So it's in that respect, the guy who only flew 30 seconds, he still wins.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think that helped me in that round because I think that I ended up with like the second or third highest score in that round because I called like
You got to tell us.
4 or 5 2-minute flights.
Hmm.
I stuck with about 2 minutes because that was basically my average for the whole contest was a 2-minute flight. I had a couple of flights that were about 5 minutes, but there was other guys. I mean, I can't remember his name, but he's one of the top pilots around, and you know he went all in and he didn't make it.
Yeah,
What was his name? He's from
probably out of Arizona.
yeah, it's the guy with the concept, the big
Be George Morris or Charlie Morris. Those are the two brothers out of Arizona that fly the concepts.
or no, he had a Polaris. It was the guy with the
Oh, okay.
tattoos.
Donnie
Donnie, that's right.
Langdon.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, he's a good guy, but yeah, it's called a hero or a zero
Yup.
at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, for poker, you know, just you call a flight time, and that's the hardest part is that it's on you. Okay, you're not relying on the rules to tell you what you have to fly, and that's why people hate it is because they're like, well, you know, I don't know. Let me
See,
fly 130 here or 145 or
see, and that's why I liked it because I kind of got I mean, I had a good average of how many minutes I was able to keep my plane up.
yeah,
Because, like I said, my plane isn't the greatest out there. I mean, and plus I was new. I had no idea what a thermal was when I first started doing it. So like I said, I was averaging 2 minutes. So I knew that if I called 2 minutes, I could probably keep it
right.
at 2 minutes. So for
And
me,
I
it
I've
helped out.
seen yeah, I've seen guys, you know, top-notch pilots call a 2 minute and they never make it because
Yeah.
the air just deteriorated to the point where you couldn't make a 2-minute flight. So, so yeah, it is a fun one, and it really does separate the people who go conservative versus the all-ins, and it's interesting to see how that stacks up. A lot of people treat it like a throwout round. You know, they're in F3K rules, after so many rounds of flight, you get to throw out your lowest score.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that not many people, I mean, that's the most disliked task. I
See, that
figured,
sounds like I agree with you, Mike. That sounds like one of the like what I would be interested in or what I would enjoy the most.
yeah,
I think that
for
would be
Yeah.
the one
me,
I like.
I mean, if you know well, I mean, you can't really tell how the error is, but if you know what you're capable of, if you stay conservative, or if you're good
And if
enough,
you've been consistent the rest of the morning,
Yeah.
yeah, I would think
Yeah.
that'd be the
yeah,
easiest for me. Being a total outsider, that does sound like the most interesting too.
yeah. My troubled ones were the ones like the latter one where it just kept progressively getting longer and longer. Is like just keeps getting harder and harder, and it's like,
Hmm.
man,
Yeah.
this is not fun.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's all part of it, but the competition and the camaraderie that's out on the field, I've never experienced in any other aspect of RC.
Yeah, these guys are so nice. Even during the middle of a contest, I was launching, or right before I was launching, you have the timer counting down, and it tells you when to launch at the buzzer, and everybody's lining up, and there's another guy lined up ready to fly in the same heat as me, and he comes over and says, "Look, there's a thermal over there. Push out that way." Right before the buzzer, and I was like, "Wow, that's you don't see people doing that in a contest. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's because he saw a bigger one on the other side. that was like, there's a thermal over there. Wait a minute. Meanwhile, there's a bigger one over here.
No, they're all very, very helpful in repairing, in setting up models, all kinds of that.
Yeah,
Any aspect of it is really generous.
Yeah, because they don't want a guy like me who's new to it coming out there with a $150 plane destroying their $1,200 plane. That's what it is. They're protecting their investment.
There is part of that. There is part of that.
I know I would. I'd do everything I can if I saw somebody like me coming out with a $120, $150 plane. Like, I'm getting you as good as you possibly can and as far away from me as I possibly can.
Yeah, we all like to see the progress that happens. But yeah,
I'm going home with 0 points, but I still got $700 in my wallet. I don't care. $1,200 or whatever it is.
yeah, for sure.
Maybe I'm just getting old and I look at the cynical side of things, but that's what I'd be thinking.
Well, you
sure,
should
I'll help
definitely
you out
try
as much as I can.
You should definitely try and look in your area, see if there's any contests out there, and
There's
head out and
nothing out
check
here.
one out.
There's one little field that I actually found out about at our air show in September, and it's mainly gas, and there's not even people there 99% of the time.
check
So,
RT groups. I think you'd be surprised
Yeah.
of the DLG contests. It's not like a local flying field or a group that goes out. It's it's a club, or not really a club, but they go out and do the contests together, or go out and fly at a park. Because that's the nice thing about the gliders at the DLGs, is that you can take them anywhere and fly them. You don't have to go to a private field to fly them, like your airplanes or helicopters. So I think you'd be surprised. I'll bet you there's somebody, maybe not near where you are, but I'll bet you in the bigger metropolis area like St. Louis and that kind of stuff, you'll find somebody.
Yeah. Do you guys want to finish, or do your wrap up questions, or I guess we probably better.
Yeah, we better wrap this up.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to say thank you so much. That was very educational, very, very educational. I mean, shoot, I found 5 dinosaur names that I use for planes now just from talking to you. I really forgot about what I learned about gliders, but I know about the Ceratopsilus or whatever. No, in all honesty, that was very interesting. Glad to have you on. I enjoyed that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good to be on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. When I asked you, I didn't know if you were going to be interested or not coming on to the show, because I know you hadn't been in the group very long, and I didn't know if you wanted to come on or not. But I'm glad you did. I know that there's, especially ever since Carlos started posting those pictures of his Stobel and the DLGs, seems like there's a lot of interest in the group for DLGs. So I figured it'd be a good topic to talk about.
Certainly, and I can talk gliders all day. So
yeah,
no problem there.
And I was gonna tell Dwayne, maybe at our next big, Blue Skies Over Utah contest, I'll do a live show for Hangar Time, and get some of the pilots out there talking and that kind of stuff. And I think that'd be kind of fun for us to do as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, we've got lots of video. If you check out Carlos posted a bunch of videos, and I'll find some of those videos too and post them again and show you these. Finch puts out a lot of good videos, and that guy he's a beast. I mean, he's always top 1 or 2 at our contests.
Yeah, he actually they had a contest yesterday, and he's licking his wounds. He came in 3rd.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So no, it's there's plenty of stuff out there, and we can definitely get some links and put more up in the Facebook room as well.
Yep, that's all I want to get to, guys. Don't forget, we have our RC Hangar Time Facebook page. There'll be links to our email and other links to the show that we had today. Don't forget, if you have any complaints, comments, suggestions, anything, or just want to say hi, feel free to email us. Leave a message on our Facebook page. Complaints, I know, go to me directly to me.
Yep. Got it.
But we'll have all the links from the show today. What Jim brought up, and also the dinosaurs too. So
Yes,
they
go.
were feathered and they did fly, and they are the descendants of our birds today. So I think it is RC related. That's all I got.
Yep, that's all I got. We'll see you next week, I guess.
All right, guys, that was another episode of RC Hanger Time with Blender Boy and Badger. Don't forget, you can email us with suggestions or comments or hate mail directly toward me at rc.hangertime.com@gmail.com. You can also like our Facebook page. Just search for us, RC Hanger Time. We have a comment section there also. We'd love to hear from you guys.